On a quiet evening, you unwrap a small piece of chocolate. The room is warm. Maybe you hear rain on the window or a kettle singing in the kitchen. The chocolate smells soft and sweet, like comfort, like home. You take a bite and it melts slowly. For a moment, everything feels calm. But how did this simple sweet become part of so many homes? Why does chocolate feel like a small gift even when it is cheap? How did a bitter drink from long ago turn into candy, cakes, and hot cocoa? Why did people travel, trade, and even argue over a bean that grows on a tree? And how did one taste carry so many stories across the world? Today, we will learn English through a real story, in simple, clear language. We will follow chocolate as it travels through time. We will use easy words, gentle rhythm, and a little curiosity. Long before chocolate was a candy bar, it was a drink. In the deep green forests of Central America, people found a small fruit with seeds inside. They dried the seeds, roasted them, and ground them into a paste. Then they mixed it with water and spices. The drink was dark, strong, and often bitter. Why would anyone drink something bitter? Because it was not just about taste. It was about tradition. It was about feeling awake, feeling ready, feeling part of a community. Some records suggest the drink was used in important moments, like meetings, ceremonies, and trade. We do not have direct details for every place and every time, but many historians note that this drink carried meaning, not only flavor. People learned to work with the bean. They learned when to pick it, how to dry it, how to roast it. Because the bean can spoil, they had to be careful. So they built skills, passed them to children, and protected the knowledge. That is how a simple plant becomes a tradition. It becomes part of daily life and also part of special life. Listen to this phrase. It became part of daily life. Say it with me. It became part of daily life. Good. You can use this phrase for many things. Tea, bread, music, even a morning walk. The drink itself also changed. Some people mixed it with honey. Others mixed it with flowers, chili, or other local spices. Because each area had different plants, each cup could taste different. So the drink was never one single thing. It was a family of drinks, connected by one bean and one idea. Then came a turning point. Ships began to cross wide oceans, carrying people, animals, and plants to new lands. Some sources describe outsiders tasting the bitter drink and feeling surprised. They were not used to the sharp taste. They were also not used to the way the drink was served, sometimes with foam on top, sometimes in special cups. How do you change something that feels strange? Often you add something familiar. In Europe, people began to mix the dark paste with sugar. Sugar was already loved, and it softened the bitterness. They also mixed in warm milk sometimes, which made the drink smoother. Because of these changes, the drink moved from a strong, spicy cup into a sweeter, gentler cup. Was this still the same drink? In one way, yes, because it still came from the same bean. In another way, it was becoming something new. This is a bridge moment in history. Old customs are adapted, not erased. The bean stayed, but the meaning shifted. It moved from a drink tied to local tradition into a fashionable drink in rich rooms far away. In some cities, people even created special places to enjoy it. You could walk into a warm room, sit near a window, and order a cup while you talked with friends. Why did a drink create social spaces like that? Because it felt modern and exciting, but also comforting. It was something new to share, and sharing is a kind of kindness. At first, chocolate was a luxury. It was not for everyone. It was expensive, and the work to make it was slow. People needed hands to grow the trees, collect the beans, dry them, ship them, roast them, grind them, and mix them. Because there were many steps, the price stayed high. So chocolate became a symbol. It meant status, comfort, and sometimes even kindness when a host offered it to a guest. Repeat after me. Would you like some chocolate? Again. Would you like some chocolate? Notice the soft sound of would you. It is polite and it carries kindness. Soon, chocolate found a place beside other warm drinks. People drank it in the morning, in the afternoon, and during cold evenings. They talked, read, and rested. It began to feel like home in a cup. But behind that cozy feeling, there were long roads and hard work, and the story is complex. Trade can bring new tastes, but it can also bring unfair systems. We can enjoy the drink and also remember that history has many sides. So chocolate kept traveling. People wrote about it, shared it, and tried to improve it. Some wanted it richer, some wanted it lighter, some wanted it cheaper so more people could taste it. The bean stayed the same, but human choices changed everything around it. And then, slowly, the idea of chocolate started to shift again. If you can drink it, can you also eat it? If you can sweeten it, can you shape it? Those questions were waiting in the background, like a door that had not been opened yet, and that door was about to move. That door began to open when people learned a new trick with the chocolate bean. Inside the roasted bean there is fat, a natural oil that helps chocolate feel smooth. When makers pressed the ground beans, they could separate this fat from the darker cocoa solids. This made it easier to control texture and taste. Why does that matter? Because once you can control the fat, you can control the shape. You can make chocolate thicker, firmer, and more stable. You can turn a drink into something you can hold in your hand. You can take it with you on a walk or wrap it like a small secret in your pocket. Isn't it strange how one hidden ingredient can change a whole tradition? At first, solid chocolate was not perfect. Some early versions were rough, grainy, or too bitter. So makers kept experimenting. They ground the cocoa more finely. They mixed it longer. They learned how heat can help, and how heat can also ruin a batch. Because chocolate is sensitive, it asks for patience. That patience became a craft, passed from one maker to the next. And then another turning point arrived: machines. As tools and factories improved, people could grind and mix cocoa with more power and more consistency. That meant the texture could become smoother, again and again, not only in one small shop, but in many places. It also meant chocolate could become cheaper. When something becomes cheaper, it can move from a luxury into ordinary life. How does a luxury become normal? It slips into routines. A parent brings a small treat home. A traveller buys a wrapped bar at a station. A friend offers a piece to say, "I'm thinking of you." Chocolate starts to live inside moments of kindness, small and quiet. And soon, those moments feel like home. People also changed chocolate by adding new ingredients. Milk made it softer and sweeter. Nuts and dried fruit added crunch and surprise. Sugar made the bitterness gentle. Some makers even played with salt or spices, trying to bring back a little memory of the older drink. This is another bridge moment. The past returns, but in a new form. The old taste does not disappear. It learns a new language. Listen to this phrase: a small treat. Say it with me. A small treat. Now try. Chocolate is a small treat. Good. As chocolate spread, it also learned to travel better. Wrapping mattered. A thin paper could protect it from dust. Because chocolate melts easily, people had to think about weather, storage, and distance. The journey of chocolate is not only a story of taste. And what about the original drink? Did it disappear? Not really. In many places, people continued to make chocolate drinks, especially in colder months. Hot chocolate became a comfort in winter, a soft light in the dark season. Some families made it at home, stirring slowly, watching steam rise. Others bought it outside, holding a warm cup with both hands. Why do warm drinks feel like kindness? Maybe because they ask us to slow down. But chocolate was not only for quiet evenings. It also entered busy times. In periods of crisis, people often look for small comforts. Some accounts suggest that soldiers and workers were given chocolate because it was easy to carry and quick to eat. It could bring energy, and it could bring hope, even for a short moment. We do not need to romanticize hard times to understand this. When life is heavy, people hold on to small lights. Still, the story is complex. Chocolate's global rise depended on large farms and long trade routes. In many regions, labor conditions were not fair, and many historians note that workers did not always benefit from the wealth that chocolate created. Today, some companies and groups try to improve this, but change is slow. Why is it so hard to make trade fair? Because systems are deep, and money and power do not move easily. We can enjoy chocolate with gratitude and also keep our eyes open. Over time, chocolate became a symbol in celebrations. It showed up in gifts, holidays, and special boxes tied with ribbons. It became a way to say thank you, I miss you, or I'm sorry. Isn't it interesting that food can carry messages? A simple square can hold emotion. A bite can feel like a promise. That is why chocolate often appears when people want to show kindness. Chocolate also entered stories, films, and songs. It became the flavor of romance, the taste of reward, the sweet ending after a hard day. Yet it also stayed ordinary. It could be a coin of comfort for a child, or a quiet reward for an adult after work. Because it can be both special and common, it fits many lives. How can one taste hold two lives at once? And then, in modern times, the world began to talk about chocolate in new ways. Some people worried about sugar. Others talked about health benefits of cocoa. The truth can depend on the type of chocolate and the amount. And we should be careful with big claims. Still, the conversation shows something important. Chocolate is not only a candy. It is part of how we think about the body, the mind, and daily habits. How do our habits shape what we call comfort? So where does that leave us? With a strange, warm idea. A bitter seed became a drink, then a sweet, then a gift, then an everyday snack. It moved through tradition and change, through markets and kitchens, through public spaces and private homes. And through all these turns, it kept one promise, a small moment of comfort. But there is one more question waiting, like a candle in the corner of the room. When we eat chocolate today, what are we really tasting? Only sugar and cocoa? Or are we tasting travel, work, memory and kindness all mixed together? Maybe we are tasting all of that at once. Maybe chocolate is like a tiny map you can eat. It carries places, hands, weather, and waiting time. It carries work you do not see when you open the wrapper. So what can we do with that knowledge? We can slow down for one breath. We can look at the piece in our hand and feel a little gratitude. We can enjoy the taste and also remember the long road behind it. When you choose chocolate today, you have many options. Dark, milk, white, hot, cold, smooth, crunchy. Why do we like having so many choices? Because choice feels like freedom, and freedom feels like comfort. But choice can also invite questions. Where did the cocoa come from? Who grew it? And how were they treated? How far did it travel to reach your home? You may not know every answer, and that is okay. The story is complex, and the world is big. Still, small choices can carry meaning. Some people look for chocolate that says it supports farmers or fair pay. These words can be confusing, and they do not solve everything. But they are a sign that people are trying to bring more kindness into the system. Listen to this phrase. I want to make a better choice. Say it with me. I want to make a better choice. Simple words, but they can guide your habits with calm hope. Chocolate also teaches us something about patience. The bean needs time to grow. The harvest needs care. The roasting needs the right heat. Not too much, not too little. Because chocolate can burn or split, makers must stay present. Isn't that a gentle lesson for us too? When we rush, we miss the smell, the warmth, the small light in ordinary moments. When we slow down, even a small treat can feel like home. In many families, chocolate is linked to childhood. A small square after dinner, a cup of hot chocolate on a rainy day, a cake on a birthday table with candles shining. Why do these memories stay so strong? Because taste connects to emotion, and emotion connects to people. And chocolate often appears when we want to care for someone. We bring it to a friend who feels tired. We send it as a gift when we cannot be there. We share it after a long talk, as if saying, I'm here with you. That is chocolate acting like kindness. But chocolate is not only sweet. Sometimes it is used as a reward, and that can create a tricky habit. If I work, I get chocolate. If I feel sad, I get chocolate. Have you ever done that? Many of us have. There is no shame in it, but it is worth noticing. Because when we notice a habit, we can choose again. We can ask, what do I really need right now? Maybe we need rest. Maybe we need a walk. Maybe we need a kind voice. And sometimes, yes, maybe we just want a small piece of chocolate. And we can enjoy it with gratitude. Repeat after me. I can enjoy it slowly. Again, I can enjoy it slowly. This simple sentence can change the feeling of eating. Slow enjoyment turns a quick bite into a small moment of light. Think about how chocolate changed from drink to solid, from rare to common. It did not happen in one day. It happened through many small steps across many places. That is how tradition grows. One person learns, another person adapts, and soon a new normal is born. So when you drink hot chocolate today, you're holding an old idea in a modern cup. When you bite a bar, you're holding a modern shape made from an old seed. Isn't that a beautiful bridge between past and present? And yet, chocolate still has surprises. Some people taste fruit notes, like berries. Some taste nuts, coffee, or flowers. These flavors can come from the bean, the soil, and the way it was treated. How can one plant create so many tastes? Because nature is rich, and because human care can guide it. There is also a quiet truth about survival in this story. For many people, growing and selling cocoa is a way to earn money and feed a family. For others, chocolate is a comfort during stress, a small help during a hard week. Survival can look like income, and survival can also look like hope. When we hold both truths, we see chocolate with softer eyes, not just as a product, but as a meeting point. Land meets labor. Trade meets taste. Tradition meets change. And in the middle, in your hand, there is a small piece of sweetness. So tonight or tomorrow, when you unwrap chocolate, try one tiny practice. Look at it for 1 second and notice the smell. Feel the texture. Then take a slow bite. Say it with me. This is my small moment. Again. This is my small moment. Let that moment be simple. Let it be warm and a small light in your day. Because learning a language is also like this. It takes time, like a bean growing on a tree. It takes practice, like grinding and mixing until it becomes smooth. And it becomes easier when you connect it to real stories, to home, to kindness, to hope. So keep listening, keep repeating, and keep moving forward gently. Your English can grow, one small step at a time, like a quiet tradition you build for yourself. And if you have chocolate nearby, let it remind you of this. History can travel far, but it can still arrive softly, right where you are, bringing a little gratitude and a little warmth into your home.